Oh, it's day 9, my friends. Day 9 on this glorious Wednesday. And it is a significant day as we've made an evolution, interestingly, here in the United States. And that evolution is, you know, I'm just in a place right now, whether it's, whether you think it's good or bad, it's kind of indifferent in my body at this point because it's more informative. It's more informational, and I don't even know all the things that these evolutions in our politics and otherwise have to inform us. I mean, I have some ideas, but I've been taught by life that those ideas get evolved pretty fast. I'd love to know how you're doing. Type your word and where you're hailing from into the chat, into the comments, depending on if you're in LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram or listening on our beautiful YouTube channel. If you're on our YouTube channel, make sure you follow and like us. We'll let you know when the next one's coming. My word today is available to the mystery. That's what I'm going to say. My word today is I am available to the mystery. So that's where I'm at. I've had a lovely time chatting with my dear friend, Greg Lathrop, before we actually got on. Hi, Greg. And I want to introduce you guys to him. I want you to know how it is that he is significant in my life. And it's because I spent some time in the beginning of the Conscious Center for Living and Dying, where Dr. Aditi Sethi Brown actually created I'm going to say visioned, was dreamt by the dream of CCLD. And CCLD is a place where people can pass through to the other side with absolute, let's say, meaning and beauty, and with family or not, with soul family, but it's all designed. It's all it's like passing through to the other side by design with a depth that I've never seen happen before in my life. And I feel very privileged to be on the board of that organization. And Greg happens to be a part of the elder council there. Having heard him speak several times, I remember one day I was listening and I thought, oh, I could just bask. I could just bask in what he just said around the idea of passing through to the other side, because the way Greg shared was through allegory, was through story. And I've come to know that you are a brilliant, much like my husband, you are a brilliant storyteller, my friend. You tell stories in such an humbling and personal way that I literally got goosebumps the first time I heard you tell a story. So that's the way I met you. Can you share with everybody what dream is dreaming you? What do you do in the world?
Okay. I'll try to be succinct with that. Well, I'm glad to be here and grateful for the opportunity. You give me an opportunity to try to be at my best, quite frankly. What is my best thing in the world? I've said this for a while, and my great thing in the world is heaven on earth. And so that's where I sit in my prayerfulness. That's where I sit in my days. And so we're going to dive into that a little bit. But I'm here because, I sit on the Elder Council for the Center for Conscious Living and Dying. And I came there, long story short, I walked with a man for a long time as a apprentice of his in traditional indigenous medicine, and I found myself sitting on a mountain in southwest Mexico, fasting for 4 days and 4 nights, and calling in a vision for my life. And ultimately, I saw where that could happen, and it was a big farmhouse on a mountain river valley, and and I knew what I was doing there, and I knew that I was being invited to keep the fire in a literal way, keep a medicine fire for those that are coming into their end of days, and how powerful that can be as medicine, really, just medicine, not religion, but as medicine. And so again, what happened, that was 20, almost 25 years ago now that I had that vision.
Wow.
And in 22, Adithi Sethi Brown, who founded CCLD, said, "We've bought the property, and I wonder if you'll come out and see it." And I said, "Of course, I'll come out and see it." And I came out, and when I drove out to CCLD and got out of my car, I was looking at the farmhouse that I saw nearly 25 years ago in my vision. And so, that created the opportunity for me to stand strong and say, well, I know I'm where I'm supposed to be. So that's a very Reader's Digest version of all of that.
It is a very Reader's Digest version. I know we all have a story to tell around that. And Greg, I thought today, my dear firekeeper friend, that we might, a lot of people's words in the chat are like semi-denial or sad. Or and I want you to know as well, someone that you've met, actually you met her when we were at CCLD, Carolyn McKinley. She remembers you. She's saying hi.
Okay.
And
hi, Carolyn.
Some people are stunned, so we've got different words. Before we get into the subject of the day, I think it'd be great, I looked at the election, although last night my nervous system was overwrought because I just really wanted a little peace.
Yeah.
And then this morning I woke up, and somewhere in my dream state I had made a decision, and the decision made me, maybe. And what I came to was, now I know where we're at. There's no more, trying to control it or trying to force or trying to wish for something. Literally, I looked at it as information, and I became so solid within myself in looking at, like, being informed about where we're at as humanity.
Yeah.
But for you shared, I told you we might go a little bit longer because I really do want to talk about forgiveness.
Yeah.
But I'd love for you to share before we got on. I would love, love, love for you to share your experience this morning, if you don't mind. I know I'm asking for a little bit extra, but it really made a difference for me, what you shared earlier with me before we got on.
Well, okay, sure. So this morning I woke real early in the morning, and I had something in something I've come to, and we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about feeling instead of thinking. And in the feeling of myself, I haven't watched news at all, and on purpose. And I woke up this morning with the feeling that, okay, well, the outcome is that that Trump won, and good, bad, or indifferent, that was the feeling I had, and there was some grief for me, and I'll just leave it there. I had some grief about that. And so I
Mm.
went out on my front porch and greeted the sun. And I'm sitting there with my tea and I'm just watching the sunrise. And we live in a mountain forest, so it's dappled light through the trees. And as I was sitting there, the birds were singing to me, and they were singing a song that says, we don't really care. And I said, well, that's lovely. The birds, they're just doing their thing. They don't care. And it's all, they're moving on, and they don't, this is nothing to the birds. And then I watched the squirrels dance around the trunks of the trees and dance in the leaves in this autumn time here in the forest. And they said the same thing. We don't care either. And then I noticed the trees were dancing in the breath of spirit. They were dancing in the wind, and they said, we don't care. And the sun was coming through and lightening and coming on my face. And the sun said, I don't care. And so for me, that was medicine. It was where I go when I need to find my ground. And luckily, I can just step out my door and find it. I don't have to go anywhere else because I'm right in the forest, and I can immerse myself in the nature of what's happening all around us. And the message, at least for me, was, this is not something that needs a whole lot of care. It's just being where you are.
Yeah.
I think that's what I would say about that.
Yeah. Yeah. And we can get myopic on something that can demand our attention, but just because it demands our attention doesn't mean we have to answer the demand. And there's so much more in this world, so much more in this world than just that little myopic part of it.
Yeah.
So that's what I really got from what you shared.
Yeah.
So, Greg, today, I mean, I knew what day this was going to fall on, and I just thought that the subject for today, no matter which side of the aisle you're on, or if you were indifferent to what happened, it doesn't matter where you fit on the spectrum in
Right.
in this world.
Right.
It really is about humanity, our humanity coming to the forefront. Everything is either an act of love or a cry for love,
Yeah.
and here we are. So
Yes.
so so my friend, you have a perspective on forgiveness. And for some, I've heard today that they're feeling like they need to forgive themselves. For
Yeah.
some, I have heard that they're feeling like they need to forgive others. I'm hearing all of that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um, so what can you share around the idea of forgiveness today, given what we've just moved through?
Well, okay. Well, first, I take responsibility for my words, and I do that with the understanding that I can only speak to my own experience in this world from the time I was in my mother's womb until now. And so, what I'm talking about is my perspective, and my perspective creates a perception. And if I'm perceiving, then I'm already projecting, because this
Mhm.
is my idea of how things are supposed to go. And so, with that idea that I take responsibility for these words, if what I have to say for you doesn't resonate, then you just go ahead and throw it in the first trash can you see. And I'm going to share basically myself, and we'll see where it goes. But what I know about this work, and this work is really just coming together to hold space together. And this seems to be not just with the election, But certainly here with the recent storm, and certainly in our world with what we witness in the world, um, it it it's important, I think, to have a way of approaching this day, each day. There's three formative questions I know to present tonight or today, and they're creative questions to tap into our creative nature. And the first question is, what do you want to come from this? Being here tonight. There's a reason that you've logged into this. And so just quietly to yourself, acknowledging, what do I want from this? Why have I come here? And the second question would be, what do you bring? And I'm already seeing in the comments about what you're bringing. And I appreciate your honesty, because sometimes we talk in flowery ways and talk about my willingness and my gratitude and the opportunities that are in front of me here. And yet be honest with ourselves. What else do you bring? You bring, I'm seeing sadness. I'm seeing confusion. I'm seeing in the chat and all those other things that we bring. Not that any of that is wrong. It's just a matter of awareness and being aware of where we are in this moment. So what do you bring? And weariness, I see that. And a lot of tired. I'm tired. And so just be aware of that. So what do you want to come from this, and what do you bring? And then the final question would be related to what are you willing to do? And that's the creative nature, or that's the action statement. And these three questions I ask myself all the time in relation to my life and my days and how I'm moving. And so I just leave that with you about those three questions to consider while we're together. And then, so with that, I can dive in a little bit. So I'm grateful for what I call moments of clarity. Moments of clarity as I walk along in this life, in this world. And this often has happened through direct revelation and direct conversation with what I call the great mystery. And I'm quite sure I'm not the only one. I'm quite sure everybody here has experienced similar moments. And so I'm going to speak to mine. Only a few of mine. And what I would say is, what I would like to do in our time together is share my experience with two or three of these moments of clarity that I've had over the years. And then at the end of our time, we'll engage in an embodied attention and focused breath to lock them in, so to speak, to just lock them into our being. So at any time beyond this hour or this time we have right now, then they're locked in, and with a simple acknowledgement of that embodied attention and that focused breath again, we have the opportunity to activate whatever it is that we experience through this time together. So that's what I hope to do. Okay. So what I want to say first is, in the two or three experiences, they go back some of them some 20 years ago, but they were transformative enough that I still hold them in my pocket. And so in some of those years, in my contemplative pondering, so to speak, I realized how little I understood about living and moving in this world. It basically probably came out as I just don't understand. And I was given words in my thoughts immediately that sounded like an answer. And so I jotted them down quickly, because it felt like an answer to what I was saying. Even though it seemed like I was just speaking to the wind, I had an answer. And the words came like this: there is a valley between knowledge and understanding. And then feeling is the bridge, and compassion is the crossing. And that was it. I received that. And what I want to invite you to do while we're together right now is not try to consider, to not try to define it with your thinking. What I would ask you to do through all of our time together is to tune in to how it feels, because that is a key word for what I'm bringing right now. The feeling is the bridge.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
So between knowledge and understanding,
Yeah,
there is a valley,
right.
and the journey requires you to feel.
It is the way.
It is the way, and that compassion is that journey.
That's how you cross.
I
It's
love it.
it's how it came to me, and it came to me in a time when I just basically, I think I just said, I just don't understand. And it
Yeah.
was a way for me to acknowledge that there is that which is beyond knowledge,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's beyond knowledge.
That's the juicy stuff in my world. I mean, that is the juice over here in this world. I
Right.
love the not knowing. So
Yeah.
Greg, in the 10 minutes we have remaining, I want to it fits perfectly with what you're going to talk about. I know the coming stories because you gave me the sneak peek. But I saw that Carolyn actually I did Ho'oponopono as well.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
but the story that you shared with me around how you came to understand what forgiveness even is,
Yeah. Right.
um, again,
Mhm. Yeah.
there's something about also I'm in deep appreciation of you because I can feel how self-responsible you are and how responsible you are about your words and that it really is your experience. And there's something about transcending, being
Mhm.
very conscious about not projecting
Yeah.
that allows me, I can speak for myself, to have my own experience. And I have a suspicion that that's happening for everyone else. So I
Yeah.
just want to say thank you for being that conscious about your words because there was, just a lot of words lately. And
Yeah.
I just love the contrast of that. But what that story about
Mhm.
forgiveness, I would love
Yeah.
for you to share with everyone.
Oh, of course. Yes, of course. Well, so it goes back to feeling. All right. So I had that seed planted early on, and several years later, and we're not talking days in regards to that. We're talking years later. I was sitting on the porch. Apparently, I like to do a lot of prayerfulness on the porch. That's where I get a lot of things. And I was sitting on the porch, and I realized that the question I asked was, what does forgiveness feel like? And I acknowledged that I knew that forgiveness was a positive attribute. It was a good thing to do. All the masters have taught about that, and all the teachers and about forgiveness. And we can use our words, "I forgive you," and yet I wasn't sure what it felt like. Really, deep down, what does forgiveness feel like? This goes back to the first uh, uh, download, if you will, and that is feeling is the bridge. So if it's the bridge, I need to know what forgiveness feels like. And so I just posed the question, what does forgiveness feel like? Well, there was no immediate answer on that one, except that I knew that I had released it, and I just acknowledged that. And But what I would say is, in a very short period of time, I would say a few days, as I remember. In a few days, I had entered into a sleep. I was asleep. So I entered into a sleeping consciousness, a sleeping dream. And in my sleeping dream, what happened is I was involved in this dream in every kind of fool's destruction that you can imagine, as far as a destructive energy to all around me, a murderous, rapist, thievish assault on everything around me. And it was becoming very, very heavy. It was in the dream. In the dream, it was so heavy that in that state of consciousness, I woke up within the dream. My body was still asleep, but I was lucid in the dream, lucidity in the dream. And no, so now I'm watching myself in the dream from an observer perspective, very lucid that the fact that this is going on. And I ask myself, why are you doing this? And my answer to myself was, because I can. And so I didn't have anything else to ask. I just kept watching, but the heaviness continued, and the heaviness became so much that I awakened in my body. And so now I'm in the bed, awake in my body with this heavy, heavy, heavy load that I felt like I was carrying. I wasn't quite sure where I was when I first woke up. And I woke up in the body, kind of bolt upright, so to speak. And I can feel the lingering energy that was related to this dream consciousness. And then I remembered, oh, that was simply a dream. And the feeling that came was expressed in a sigh that was, oh, wow. And I laid back down in the bed, and I had completely entered into a state of complete release because of the nature of being removed from the dream.
Mm.
And then I heard the words in my thoughts, that's what forgiveness feels like.
Mm.
And so, we could talk about, we're not even going to go to quantifying reality, about dream reality versus waking reality,
Sure.
because it's all real to
Yeah,
me,
sure.
but the feeling is what I asked for.
Mm-hmm.
I asked for the feeling and that sense of, oh, and just lying back down in this absolute complete release
Mm-hmm.
gave me something that was transformational for me. And that to this day, this is what I use. This is what I have in my pocket to really measure about, have I really come to that place? Have I really come to that place of forgiveness?
Well,
And yeah,
yeah,
so.
Greg, sorry for interrupting. It's just hitting my, it's just so, I'm marrying what you said earlier
Yeah,
with what you're sharing now,
yeah.
that there's this valley between, knowledge and understanding. We know what's going on, but do we really understand what's going on? And the only for ourselves, for others, for the world, the whole thing. But the vulnerability of being compassionate
Mhm.
is the way across.
Yes.
And what I love about what you're saying is it's a perfect example of there is stuff going on in the world right now
Mhm.
that one might say, or one might not, it depends on how you approach life, but one might say that there's much to forgive, maybe much to forgive about oneself, like I haven't done enough,
Yeah.
or much to forgive about others who might hurt people or cause them to suffer in some way. And so forgiving in another. And Ho'oponopono, of course, is another framework that says, well, it's all within you. So if you can actually build a bridge within yourself to forgiveness within yourself, then of course, metaphysically, it's affecting the whole. And so as we sit here, Greg, in this time where there could be things to forgive, I'm wondering, there could be, but there may not, but there
There
could
is.
be. Yeah, 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 yeah. And
Always.
so and
Always.
so I'm wondering, it sounds to me, if I put two and two together, we could perceive that it's through compassion that we find the relief of being able to the release and the relief of of actually coming to a place where the perception that one holds, I'm hearing,
Yeah.
the perception that one holds about the situation is really what has the grip on us that causes us to feel the way we feel. And once we go across that compassionate bridge, there's something that happens in the understanding of the other, that there is a release. Am I eh, did you come to deeper realizations? Is that something, am I hearing you
Mhm.
well?
Yes. Yes. As a matter of fact, it evolves more.
Tell me.
Even some years later after that. So it seems that this is a long-term investment because it's a vigilant investment, and so with both of those transformational moments, there came a time again on the porch, and I found myself talking to the great mystery again, and I don't wait years to talk to the great mystery, but these are ones that really show themselves.
Right?
And 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 so my next question was, first it was a statement. I was talking to myself and to that beyond me and the mystery and the great mystery. And I said, I've always been taught that heaven on earth is possible. And I got an immediate yes. And I said, well, how come I don't feel it? And the answer was so quick and so direct and so loving. The answer was, I notice you don't receive very well. And I said, I said, yeah, you're right. I'm working on it. I don't receive very well. My father and my grandfather taught me how to give, 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 give. And they were beautiful teachers about that. And they also taught me how not to receive.
Nice.
And it was full package. So I notice you don't receive very well. And so that became the evolution of what it means, and what I talk about in my life is to feel it in my bones. To feel it is where I move, not how I think it. I realized a long time ago that I can talk myself into and out of everything mentally, right? I can rationalize, pontificate,
Mhm.
analyze, and I can put myself in situations that are related to just this mental idea of things, and then realize later, whoa, 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 you know, I knew better. In other words, in
Mhm.
hindsight.
Mhm.
So receiving seems to be, and it is for me, that place where if we talk about heaven on earth, and heaven for me is in whatever language you want to use, you can, the astral plane, the astral heaven, the kingdom, heaven is just home for me, where I come from.
Sounds like your porch, actually.
It's my porch. Heaven on the porch.
Right, exactly.
So receiving, being willing to receive the love that is waiting for us.
Mm.
And what opens that door to receiving, in my experience, in my words for myself, is forgiveness.
Beautiful. I just have to show you something. My as you were sharing, um, I realized that my dear compadre in life, my friend Karen Renee, who is a member at CCLD,
Yeah.
she actually, um, we have mugs, and she just put this right in front of me just on Monday.
Yeah,
Do you see
I
that?
see that. I see that. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
I
the
do.
Heaven on Earth
Yeah.
construction crew, and as you were talking, it just caught my eye, and I'm like, "Well, of course he would use those words." Um,
I was
so
using those before, but I'll tell you what called me to come and to meet you
yes,
when you offered some offerings at CCLD
yes.
was because of that language.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's so cool.
It really
And
is.
all of the beautiful people that are joining us right now, we
Yeah.
call them the Heaven on Earth construction crew.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, dear Greg, I'm sure that everybody, um, there's something about your words, and that for me, even the way you communicate causes me to have to feel.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
provides an environment to, like, "Wait a second.
Yeah.
What am I actually feeling right now?" And I'm
Right.
just
Right.
super grateful tonight to be able to be in this beautiful feeling place with you
Yeah.
and with everybody else. You guys really go and check out ccld.community, www.ccld.community. You'll find a little bit about Greg there. You also find some information about the founder and what they're up to. Dr. Aditi Sethi Brown is, you'll read a little bit about her, but absolutely, they're doing all sorts of wonderful trauma work and grieving work right now here in Asheville. So
Yes. Yes.
may I suggest that you maybe even find in your heart to donate. That would be a beautiful thing.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
in the meantime, Greg, I just want to deeply thank you, truly, from my heart to yours, and just everyone. I'm sure you want to send some love for our
Yes.
communion tonight,
Yes.
and I'm just really grateful, Greg.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the perfect grounding, lovely energy, deep,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
thought-provoking energy for such a profound, let's say, evolutionary day.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Yeah.
do you have any final words for everyone?
Yeah, yeah. Just quickly, I would say, try this if you're willing to lock this in.
Mhm.
Find the time to be quiet and breathe deeper and longer than usual, and soften your belly. Soften your belly, so that when you breathe in, it feels like you're breathing right into your belly, and that quality of breath feels much different than way up high.
Mm.
And do that when you're breathing in. Consider what I've said about receiving, because when you breathe in, you're receiving. And consider if you're willing to receive forgiveness for yourself from yourself, and breathe in with that quality, breathing in forgiveness for myself from myself.
Mm.
And if we think about it, then essentially, if you forgive someone else's body and their personality, that is also self-forgiveness, because
Mm.
The old Mayan language says, in Lakash in Lakan, I am another you and you are another me.
Mm.
And try that. In breathing out, consider releasing related to the out breath that you're releasing. And the question could be, what am I willing to release? What am I willing to release? Are you willing to release all of your ideas and notions about what you think you know right now? Now that sometimes people go, well, I don't know. Can you just be here without all the preconceived ideas about what I think I know and
Mm.
release that? And this is a way I think we can lock this in.
Thank you, Greg.
Sure.
Really, really, really great, you guys. My belly's nice and soft now. So I'm
Good.
So you guys,
Good.
I wanted to let you guys know that we've talked about the embodiment workshop coming up in 2 weeks. It most certainly is about being in the mystery, especially on day 2, of who you are and why you're here. And so in that land of not knowing, who are we all going to become in the face of these evolutions in the world? And there are many ways to be in discovery of that. That's, answering the question, what's the greatest thing I can do to make a contribution that would have me waking up inspired and going to bed knowing that I did what I came to the planet for. And I'm always uncovering more. So, and this is a perfect conversation to be uncovering more right now. So, Greg, I want to thank you so much for being a part of our 21-day conversation. And everyone, please share this with your community. I cannot be the only one. I mean, I could be, but I really doubt that I'm the only one that's thinking, oh my gosh, I have to share this conversation with my friends. It's perfect. And so please share it with others. This is truly a time to be in this world together, going across that compassion bridge.
Yeah.
And so, Greg, is there any final words you want to say before we go for tonight?
Well, what pops in is, don't be afraid. It's going to be all right.
Nice. Beautiful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And everyone, where I want to go is making sure that tomorrow at 5:55 I have another guest, a little surprise that's going to help, also involved in CCLD, a brilliant, brilliant doctor who is actually going to help us understand the breath more deeply and take us through an exercise to transmute any latent, let's say, or any available trauma. If you're up for it, I'm looking forward to it. She's one of my favorite people. So guys, have a wonderful rest of your day, night, wherever you are in the world. Greg, again, thank you so much. And I want to thank my sweetie pie as well for holding it down for all the tech, because gosh knows that I would not, no. So, so you guys, and check out CCLD, you guys, powerful place, certainly an evolutionary place. And I just love y'all. And we'll see you on the flip side, 5:55 tomorrow.
Okay.
Thanks again, Greg.